So guys, across the 2 videos that I made on the Ryan Haywood situation, we've accumulated around 1,000 comments. Some of them were quite insightful. We had a few corrections, a few interesting additions, and even one person who was mentioned in the timeline, in the original timeline, commented under the video. So I thought it's only fair to kind of put all that in the video, read those out to you. Like I think I've picked about 15 or something. Read those out, discuss them with you guys, and then towards the end of the video, we're also going to do a little bit of a channel update, talking about what's to come on this channel, because quite a lot of people have subscribed, and I just want to kind of give them a rough idea of what I'm planning to do, how I'm gonna try to entertain you guys. Are you not entertained? So let's jump right into the comments. What do we have here? I'm just randomly clicking them. Rakia. So Rakia303 says, I barely have 10 pictures of myself, like selfies and stuff. How the hell do you make 10 gigabytes worth of PORN of yourself? That's a good question. I guess that's a remark to the torrent that was leaked from AdamKovic with 4 gigabytes of porn. It's true. I mean, it's a reasonable question. Like, how do you accumulate 4 gigabytes of porn? I mean, unless it's all 4K, like proper HD footage, which is also kind of creepy in itself, right? But if it's mostly pictures, 4 gigabytes, that's a lot of data, of yourself. I don't know, man. It's a valid point, valid enough to put it in here, in my opinion. Let's move on. Nico Kiyova Lee, I hope I'm saying this correct, I'm sorry, says, this makes me wonder what the real relationship between Meg and Ryan might have been. Because I think there were like hints in videos and it was mentioned a few times. A lot of people commented that. That's why I put that in. This represents a lot of comments, basically. We don't know what it is. And generally, there are loads of hindsight videos popping up now where people kind of take old footage from Achievement Hunter and Funhouse and stuff and editing it, basically just pointing out all the kind of weird and suspicious and creepy moments. Here was another one. I'm not going to read this one out. You can read it yourself. Apparently that happened in Minecraft Sky Factory 4. I assume that was a stream or something, but man, these things. Monquieu says, I assume that's French, Monquieu. Anyway, I think the reason they didn't mention looking further into the company during the stream between Michael and Jack, you remember, was because it's not an official public statement from RoosterTeeth. It's just Michael and Jack talking in one-on-one about the current situation. I'm sure internally RoosterTeeth will do a deeper investigation of the company and try to find out what's really going on. They're just not ready with public statements as of yet. They're still dealing with this fallout. Give it another month or two and they will have something ready to tell us on how they move forward from this and to ensure their fans are safer. Big point. Which so far hasn't been addressed by RoosterTeeth as far as I'm aware. Keep in mind, this is during the pandemic and they're all in different locations, so it will be a little bit tougher. The reason why I put this in is because this sounds nearly like he knows something. The way he's saying, like, they're just not ready with a public statement as of yet. They're still dealing with this fallout. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but it also sounds like that person might... No, I don't know. I just found it interesting, and it is a valid point. Because so far, yes, we haven't heard anything. They haven't come out and said, look, we're doing this or that to avoid this from happening in the future. But that doesn't mean they might not come out with it in the future. So it's a valid point. Let's give them a bit more time. Like he said, they're still really dealing with this fallout. So I felt it's a valid point, kind of a correction. It should be in here. Glay Doctor 11, I believe, is how I would read that. It's probably wrong. Why do you guys have so complicated names? Why does everyone have a name that's really tricky to read? The point you made about other potential predators that still need to be weeded out, you're so right. For me personally, I've gotten an eerie vibe of Alfredo since he came on. Everything is turned into an SEX joke with him. Everything. And kinky jokes at that. I've suspected that he's an SEX addict. I'm not accusing him of anything, let me be clear, but they absolutely must investigate everything and member thoroughly. They owe it to their fans after all these years of scandals now. So the reason why I put this in is not to put Alfredo on the spot, not at all, it has nothing to do with Alfredo. It was more something that I felt was a general thing. Whenever I listen to the RT podcast or to these other members, it's a lot about physical, good looking, it's a lot about fitness, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, fitness is a great thing, don't get me wrong, everybody should be fit, but it sometimes felt like it nearly goes into a little bit into the body cult direction, and it does get a little bit SE-actual, you know what I mean? It gets into this direction sometimes. Conversations and jokes go into that direction constantly because people think it's funny or something, but it just, in the end, it's just a reflection of what's in these people's minds. Purely me speculating, but I feel like there is kind of a body thing going on, and obviously also like a good-looking thing among all these hosts and TV and RoosterTeeth personalities. It seems to be a thing. And there was another comment that I would like to read out. Let me find that really quick. Because that really, it was a long comment, but it really put it quite well. Here it is, from Zorb Rezi. It's one of the more insightful comments, really. I have to say, this one, let's read this together. Hey, I left the community a long time ago. Think what you will of this, but I'm glad for these events transpiring. RoosterTeeth's Brands Inc. LLC are a microcosm of everything that is wrong with our world, a collection of wealthy creatives selling parasocial friendship to those who for any number of reasons lack social links themselves. I was like, whoo, it hits hard, man. I'm not doubting it has any established place in the history of video game culture, but it exists and thrives solely on those who have issues they need to address and instead distract themselves with instant and easy vicarious fulfillment. If you don't think there's anything wrong with that, you must hate Wall-E. Anyway, the people invested in such a company are the type to be sociopathic, both staff and members. So I think that goes maybe a little bit too far. This is a spotlight on how people who exist for others' sake entirely can lose themselves entirely. But it's a very interesting part. I think he's losing it a little bit there in the end. Like, that goes a bit too far. Like, what does it do to a person when you're so long, very successful, and they're very wanted on these social platforms and social media? Everybody wants you. It comes possibly for some people to a point where they see it as selling a friendship, right? A lot of these people, it's true. I mean, podcasts, and conversations online, even this content probably to an extent is feeding a certain social need for people. It's like a conversation. I listen to a lot of podcasts. There's nothing wrong with it. But he's highlighting a quite valid point here that in a way, companies like Rooster Teeth are selling these parasocial friendships, right? And that's not wrong. Like, it's an interesting point to consider, especially in regard to the previous comment, right? Because the question is, maybe it is even nearly the nature of these kind of personalities of, like, not everybody, don't get me wrong, but to an extent for some people it might be a thing that they just amplify to be like a sociopathic character. And all the girls are just toys, and all the people that watch me, they're basically just like social victims, right? To kind of get that perspective. That's what I'm talking about. That's why I found these two comments really interesting in relation, because it raises the question to what an extent it was like just an exception, this case now, or to what extent the industry kind of nearly breeds people like that itself. It's an interesting debate to be had in any case, and it leads directly into investigating the company, what he mentions as well. And I said it as well, the company should investigate it somehow, but someone mentioned it in another comment, which I don't have here. It's true. How are you going to investigate that? How are you going to investigate whether there's a psychopath killer in your company? You can't really. I mean, okay, you can take all their devices, computers, and confiscate them, but who can do that, right? And how can you legally justify that? And, it's a whole ethical debate. So how are you going to investigate it? I don't know, but I think these companies should take steps, and Rooster Teeth does take steps with their email conduct@roosterteeth.com. At least they're taking a step where other people come forward. They encourage people very much to come forward. So I guess that's the first step. Chumbawamba says, if I listen hard enough, this guy sounds like Arnold Schwarzenegger. This is not true. This is a lie. Wizard Carnage says, good video, just something to say. When update 30 gives a warning for Katie's video because it discusses that isn't saying that Ryan is a Katie was and she mentioned it in the video. That kind of thing fits into a discussion about malicious sexual practices. So apparently there was some misunderstanding about the RAPE allegations that came from Katie, and that it sounded like Ryan was the perpetrator here. He wasn't, okay, and that was just here to clarify that. I didn't want to cause that confusion. Apologies. And that leads to the next mistake kind of that I made, and that is that I said that we are not in RAPE territory in the previous video, which is legally speaking wrong. Okay, and this is highlighted in many, many comments, and rightly so. I apologize, I didn't get that right, and I didn't want to kind of give the impression that I'm downplaying these allegations. And I just wanted to clarify that as far as I'm aware, in none of the cases, the girls were forcefully forced to the actual act. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Things happened that went too far. I mean, I think I said that pretty clear in the previous video. But yes, if you remove the condom during the act without the permission of your partner, then that is classified RAPE. However, that differs in some states and countries again as well. So it's difficult, when he is at a convention somewhere else in a different country, in the UK, how is it then? Is it UK law? it all gets a bit tricky there. But yes, I was wrong. I admit that. Sorry about making that mistake. TILR says, I wonder if the Google Drive thing, in regards to Adam, because I think most of his images were leaked from a Google Drive, was because Google Photos does auto backups if enabled, and there used to be an option to sync Google Photos to Google Drive. So if I understand correctly, he means that it just kind of automatically backed that up. To an extent, we maybe even have to give Adam like the benefit of the doubt. I mean, if he just didn't pay attention and he's a bit clumsy and he just took those photos, as horrible as they are, people have described them to me in too much detail, really. But if they were just automatically uploaded to Google Drive, then all the ridicule I've given him for using Google Drive was for nothing. So there's maybe the possibility here that that happened even without him knowing. And it was just like filling up his Google Drive bit by bit. Again, like 4 GB, man. That's a crazy number. Valpy Fox says, I would love for more people talking about the situation to say that doxing, attacking and harassing not only other members of Rooster Teeth, but his family, wife, their children is absolutely wrong. It's not their fault. 100% agree. And to be honest, I would even go as far as saying like doxing and harassing Ryan himself is wrong. Sure, what he did is terrible. There's no debate about it. But does that justify you kind of becoming the police and doxing him or flooding him with comments or phone calls? I mean, look, dude, people are going to deal with this. It's going to happen anyway. We don't need the internet police to clean this mess up. Do you know what I mean? Like, stay out of it. Everybody just stay out of it when it comes to the actual people involved. So this is a very important message that I actually extend, but 100% support as well. And here we have the comment from the girl that was actually mentioned in the timeline, and it's quite interesting. So Jasmine, you might remember we had a tweet, I believe, from her, and she says, haha, thanks for including my tweet. Jasmine will 123. I no longer speak to the person I spoke about. They showed me pictures in person of Ryan and the snaps they sent to each other. I never had them saved, nor did I claim I had access to them. However, the Tumblr account, Juggy, who published an anonymous message of screenshots from a friend, I recognized them immediately as my ex-friend's snaps to Ryan at the time when she flew herself over to the US and Ryan paid for the tickets to fly her to Austin shortly after his Japan trip. So that's quite specific there, and I appreciate that. Like, she reiterates on her tweets, which in my mind kind of indicates confidence. Like, she's confident about telling this story, it feels like it at least. And then she also puts it like at a timestamp, after his Japan trip. She continues, I do not regret tweeting what I have tweeted, even I got a lot of hate for it. Because of that, I was able to privately chat with a number of young girls who had horrible experiences with Ryan and direct them to other victims so they could openly talk to each other. That's great. That's really good that you do that. I think like private chat rooms for all the people who really are affected by this and who are getting doxxed right now and stuff. That's good. They should talk to each other and hopefully help each other out. Each person I spoke to thought they were the only one this was happening to, that they were the only fan he was talking to or having sex with. Right, that's interesting as well. And underneath she says, this links back to update 48. My ex-friend was the one who flew herself to the US from the group. So that's how it links to the timeline. But is that not interesting, right? How she breaks that down. That she said that every girl felt like she was the only one at that moment that he was playing with. Like, that's another layer in his game, right? Like, to make all these girls feel that each one of them is the only one. And here's one little nugget that I forgot to mention earlier. That is basically about the age of consent in Texas, because that's where he's from. Again, if he was doing things in other countries, slightly different story probably. But if he's in Texas, the age of consent in Texas is 17. So if the girl with 17 agrees, then fair play. However, apparently their parents can step in and say, this is not fair, you're doing this to our daughter. So somehow, if the parents would kind of decide to step in, then they would have a bit of legal leverage. At least that's what this comment says. I hope this is correct. Again, correct me down in the comments if it's not. But yeah, due to his traveling, it obviously makes the situation slightly more complex. And I think that's the comments, guys. And this ends my Ryan Haywood endeavor, to be honest. It was a positive experience. I mean, so many people came forward and gave me so much positive feedback. So I really appreciate that. We're going to do a bit of a channel update now. I just wanted to talk a bit more about what I'm planning on this channel. So it's difficult for me, because suddenly so many people are like, hey, great content. And I'm really not a drama content creator. I don't do drama videos that much. I did this video because I care about Rooster Teeth and those people, and especially AdamKovic. That's how I got into it. So I'm not going to continue and just do drama videos. But I had this idea of a series because a lot of people kind of say they enjoy my voice, me reading stuff out to them, giving thoughts and feedback on what I read. So I thought about starting a little series where I'm just going to read stuff from Reddit, and we're going to investigate various threads and apply my, well, let's say slightly dry and pragmatic approach to certain things where it might be funny. You know, maybe like Reddit/confessions, maybe like Reddit/paranormal videos. So if you guys have any suggestions and would love to see me talk about some specific subreddit or something like that, leave that down in the comment section below. I'm more than happy for any inspiration and to get an idea what you guys actually want to see. Otherwise, I have a few other ideas for videos that I'm going to churn out in the next few days/weeks. We had someone who's interested in doing editing for me, which is absolutely awesome. I can't wait to look into that because it would save me so much time. With 2 kids, you don't have that much time to record and edit, and it's always a late night when I'm doing this most of the time. So it would be good to get some help, and people have offered, so that's really, really good. Now, one thing I want to mention, it kind of comes back to the very beginning of the video. In the 1,000 comments that we got under those 2 Ryan Haywood videos. And I mean, keep in mind, this is a diverse topic, right? This is a topic where people go nuts normally in opinions and accusations and aggressions. In the 1,000 comments, I think YouTube filtered out maybe 25 that were just completely off the charts. All the other videos were fine. I did not need to moderate any of it. You know, some went maybe a bit too far, but none of it was like really aggressive or, I don't know, racist or anything horrible. So I'm really, really pleased to see that somehow, you know, we managed to aggregate such a nice community of people under those 2 videos. And I just really hope that we somehow can channel that community and push it forward on this channel, on future videos. I understand the pressure's on me to create content you guys want to see, and I'm going to really try my best. Again, I don't have that much time, but I'm going to try to do my best to do as much content as I can, and I hope you guys will enjoy it and will like it, and I hope we can take this positive, productive, and really encouraging spirit from the comment sections under those videos into the community going forward into future videos. So guys, again, I really, really appreciate that you're watching the content, that so many people got on board and I got so much positive feedback. I love you guys. It's great. It's fantastic because I've been doing YouTube for a very long time and never really had a video where people got me so much positive feedback. And I'm a bit touched, you know, and surprised and also a little bit struggling with what to do next because it's like, hey, here are so many people looking at you now. Do something. Do the dance, dude. I could walk down into the basement and see if I find any jokes there. Let me quickly take a look. God, oh, I shouldn't do these things. That's as funny as it gets, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe, smash like, share the things. This is the end of the Ryan Haywood saga on this channel. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you're coming back for more. See you next time. I'm out. Bye.